A 17-year-old girl, a mother of one, I call Sandra, was brought to a hospital where I was working when she was in a very bad condition. She was unconscious and covered with blood. To our medical investigation, Sandra had given birth from home a couple of hours before being brought to the hospital. And the challenge was Sandra had a retained placenta. We did our best as a team to save the life of this young lady, but it took us time to see Sandra smiling. If Sandra had spent more 10 minutes before reaching the hospital, probably Sandra would be history as we talk today. Unlike Sandra's case, trend in maternal mortality indicate that in Uganda, where we are today, 16 women die every day due to complications related to pregnancy and childbirth. They die due to causes like bleeding, like the case of Sandra, infections, which may happen mostly after birth, abortion, especially for the young women, hypertensive disorders, the high blood related conditions like eclampsia and preeclampsia, among other reasons. But honestly, these are preventable causes, especially if we had a very strong health system. And if all pregnant women were in touch with health workers from the time they realize that they are pregnant through childbirth. Of course, when we talk about 16 women dying every day, it may sound just like 16, which is just not a number. These are just not numerals. We are talking about lives of women carrying children who die just in one day. In the transport system, it would be like one taxi crashing and there is no life saved. Pregnant women. So if we have 16 women dying in just one day, every day, in 1 week, it will mean that we are losing 16 times 7, which comes to about 112, just in 1 week. For 1 month, we just multiply 112 times 4. It comes about 448. I'm still talking about women who are pregnant, carrying children. The mothers, the wives, the sisters, and so on. So in 1 year, we lose 448 times 12. That's about 5,376 plus. If it was the case of transport still, this would be like about 13 buses perishing and no life is saved in just 1 year. Yet in actual sense, if 5 buses crashed in Uganda, that would be a catastrophe to that bus company, to the country. Even some of us would not wish to travel through those buses, that company. But I'm saying the women are dying. And if you were putting them in a bus, there will be 13 buses just in one year. Uganda is one of the countries that has been implementing the Millennium Development Goals. These were goals agreed upon by government leaders that were supposed to transform our lives in the last 15 years. Amongst these goals were goal number 5, talking about improving maternal health. Unfortunately, in Uganda, we did not achieve that goal, according to the MDG report for Uganda by United Nations Development Program. Leaders committed to reduce by 3/4 maternal mortality ratio and achieve access to universal reproductive health. It did not happen in Uganda. UN's Secretary General report indicated that some of these countries like Uganda and other countries, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa, did not meet these targets due to reasons like no accountability. The citizens were not involved in the whole process. We had limited resources, as always, and as the case will always be. And there was unmet commitments. Like the leaders did not fulfill to the commitments that they made in 2001 in New York. As we're talking today, in 2015, government leaders again just approved a new set of goals, 17 in number, the Sustainable Development Goals. And you still have chance for us who are passionate for maternal and child health. Because Goal 3 talks about achieving health for all people of all ages, which we think we are very sure we're somewhere. Shall use that opportunity to still advocate for the good lives of mothers and children. But the question is, if we fail to implement and achieve just the 8 goals, the Millennium Development Goals, how are we ready to achieve the 17? How are we going to achieve the 17 goals if we do not achieve the 8? And learning from the reports that we do not have enough resources, where are we going to get the resources now to achieve the 17 goals? We didn't have accountability. How are we going to make sure that our leaders this time around fulfill their commitments? They account to the people that they serve. The good news is that the Sustainable Development Goals talk about involving all people, inclusiveness. Because it's we and the women and the children who suffer directly, it would be nice to involve them in discussing these problems and probably coming up with solutions, sustainable solutions, because we're looking at sustainable development. The solutions that are going to move on from generation to generation. The question is, how are we going to involve them then? How are we positioning the children? How are we going to position the women? How are we going to position the men? How are we going to position the young people? Especially the young people, the young women. The young women today are going to mature in 15 years. The scope of the Sustainable Development Goals. These are critical stakeholders that we cannot forget in this whole process. When you talk about maternal mortality, you're talking about women who are dying. The women who are going to die in 15 years from now, very young. Probably we involve them in discussing how probably we would wish to see a better world. Because we are looking at transforming our lives in the next 15 years. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have the opportunity to track the progress of the SDGs, to hold our leaders accountable to what they committed to on our behalf. Isn't it about time that every person, every stakeholder played his or her role? Someone will ask how. At least everyone has a role to play in all this. Because when we talk about women, how are women playing the role of protecting themselves? How are women playing the role of protecting the children? How are women playing the role of protecting the whole universe? Because the women are the mothers. How are we positioning the young men too? But the young people are not just leaders. They have a great stake in the implementation of sustainable development goals. Because, one, when it comes to sharing, communication, creating awareness about and around the SDGs, young people play a great role in this. You find them everywhere on social media, telling a friend. They are very good at driving conversations around the villages, in the rural communities. And this would be an opportunity to use them to pass on the message of the Sustainable Development Goals. Especially goal number 3. We have health people. We take them to school. They will do everything. Not having everything for no one. When you look at Parliament, that in Millennium Development Goals, there is no accountability. But as you know, Parliament is the primary institution for accountability. How do we drive them? How do we advocate that Parliament does its role? Because for us to realize Millennium Development Goals, we shall need to create awareness about and around these goals. In order to prepare the community members to demand accountability from their leaders, we need to educate them, build their capacity, and empower them. The civil society organizations, these are more into the community. Actually, they communicate. Research shows that 70% of the civil society actors deliver social services. And if you are looking at sustainability, the civil society is in a very great position to work with the government and all other stakeholders to realize these goals. We cannot just sit and look at, here the statistics, here that women are dying. You cannot feel it, not until someone you call, either sister, your mom, your wife, has been involved, is among the 16. How about if you come up early enough? It's about time that we did the smallest things possible to save the lives of mothers, to save the lives of children, and to save the lives of everyone. The SDGs are here for us, to transform us, and it's our responsibility to make sure they are implemented. It's our responsibility to make sure we achieve them, and it's our responsibility to make sure we have a better world. Just play your part, small. Thank you very much.